All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well, and honor and salutations to those of you who are of the hopeful elect and are out there teaching the word in sincerity and truth. All right, so I wanted to finish off with the show I did last, which was regarding whether or not religion expects you to, purge your darkness, and that was based on a statement from an interview I was watching. I think he pronounced his name Jidenna. Breakfast Club interview uh, had mentioned that statement. Um, so as I stated in the previous show, it's not an expectation of the Lord for us to purge out all the wickedness, right? Because it's impossible. We're in this flesh, and as long as we're in this flesh, we're going to be subject to our flesh, man. And that's the battle. Like I read in I think it was Romans 7 yesterday. The battle is, you're in the spirit wanting to do. Let me see. What he said? He said. Let me see. He said. Oh, I just hit Romans. Romans 7. So I can bear with me for a second here. He said something. I think he said, "For to will is present with me." I think he said. Here it is. It's verse 18. It's Romans 7 and 18. It says, "For I know that in me, that is in my flesh, dwelleth no good thing. For to will is present with me, but how to perform that which is good I find not." Right? Why? Because we're in this flesh, man. So your spirit wants to do the right thing, but you're subject to this flesh because we're in this flesh, and that's the battle. The battle is how you can little by little, right, do this. Matter of fact, it's in the next chapter. Bear with me for a second. Just looking for a scripture in particular. I should just read this because it's not in here. So I'll start at 1. It's Romans 8 and 1. It says, "There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Hamashiach Yahushai, who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit." Right? Like, why? Because through Yahushai, we're justified. I did that in the show a couple of days ago. Right? We're justified by the Lord Yahushai. Right? It says, "For the law of the spirit of life in Yahushua HaMashiach hath made me free from the law of sin and death. For what the law could not do, in that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who walk not after the flesh, but after the spirit." Right? So that's how we get justified, man. By doing the things of the spirit, following after the example of the Lord Yahushai, right? Right? What else? Pushing the word, being brotherly to one another, right? These are the things of the spirit. Charity. And I don't mean like charity like, going to the soup kitchen, which, I mean, if that's what you want to do, it's not a bad thing to go to the soup kitchen. But if I was to go to the soup kitchen, I would only want to serve Jake. So I don't think it would be I don't think it'd be the right thing to do for me in particular. But, if you want to, charity, those are the things of the spirit, right? It says, "For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the spirit, the things of the spirit, right? For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace, right? So this is the battle that you have to go through, man. Being that we're in this flesh, still having to, you know, mind the things of the spirit, man. That's the battle. That's the fight. You got people, going into the scriptures talking about, oh, I cut that dude, or talking about, you got certain guys that want to cut the apostles, right? But don't take the time to cut themselves. That's the battle. The battle is not who's more right, who you can be more right than, or how many debates you can win. The battle is being in this flesh, right? Being subject to the flesh, being in an atmosphere, an environment that has sin and fleshly deeds all around you, and still having to mind the things of the spirit. And that's the battle, man. The battle is how you fight you, right? When the scriptures mention, when the scriptures mention, uh, a bishop must first, have rule over his own house before he can rule the church, right? That scripture, yes, is talking about how you rule your own family, right? But really, your own house being you. You can't be a ruler or a mentor or a bishop or a deacon in the church and not and have dominion over people under you, and you can't have dominion over your own self, man, or at least attempting to have dominion over yourself. Like, it's a constant battle, man. You always got to find ways, because like your biceps and your pecs and your quads, like those are muscles, so is discipline. And you always got to find a way to train that muscle, man. Because how can you discipline someone else if you can't discipline yourself, right? So that's the battle, right? It says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High. For it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither indeed can be, right? So then, they that are in the flesh cannot please the Most High, but ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, if so be that the Spirit of the Most High dwelleth in you. Now, if any man have not the Spirit of Hamashiach, he is none of his, right? So I'm looking for a scripture in particular, man, but I thought I would find it by now. Let me try to jump to it. Maybe it's not in this. Let me see. Mortified. Okay. This is Romans 8 and 13. This is what I was looking for here. It says, for if ye live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Spirit do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live, right? Through the Spirit, meaning what? Doing the things of the Spirit, following after the Lord Yahweh Shai, being charitable to the brotherhood, right? Teaching the word as much as you can, right? These are the things that are gonna help you mortify the deeds of your body, which means to kill, right? Right? All right, so I wanted to go into a couple of more of these other things that I wrote down, right? Because you got people, especially Christians, who are hell bent on perfection, right? This is why you always get these scandals in the church, right? You got these pedophiles as far as priests go. You got the Baptist priests, they messing with people's wives and sleeping around with all the women in the church and taking money from the church. And the reason why those scandals get exposed and people are so surprised is because they try to walk with this image of perfection. But the scriptures tell you that perfection is impossible. It says be ye perfect. It says be ye perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect, right? But then it says in other scriptures that you can't, right? So the journey is striving for perfection, knowing that perfection is unattainable. That means you keep going. That'll keep you going. That'll keep you going. There is no end, because you can never be as the Most High is. So there is no end. That means to continue. keep going, keep rowing, right? So then what happens then? Then how are we justified? How are we going to be, made perfect, right? Well, the Lord is going to do that to us, man. He's just looking for us to acknowledge, our state, our low state without him, right? Because when they talk about an addict, right? They'll tell you that an addict never stops being an addict. He's just acknowledged the fact that he is an addict, and he's doing what he can to stay away from the thing that he's addicted to, that's ruining his life, right? But they say the first step to, healing is acknowledgement, man, and that's what the Lord wants from us, to acknowledge this low state that we're in, right? So let me see. No, I think that's how it goes. Am I spelling it wrong? Let me Google it. Bear with me for a second here. Yeah.
Your boyfriend.
Shut up, bitch. 5:15. Okay, this is Hosea 5:15. It says, I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction, they will seek me early, right? So that's what the Lord wants us to acknowledge our, and you got Jake, right? Oh, the white man this and the white man that, which is true. The white man's a piece of shit, right? But the Lord wants us to understand why the white man is able to do the things he's doing to us, because of what we did. So acknowledge your state. Acknowledge that without the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, that you are in a low state, man. And that you're susceptible to be taken down by anybody. And then once you start to acknowledge that, once we start to acknowledge that, then the Lord will return to us and begin to build us up again, as in the days of old. Okay? So let me go here to another scripture. Let me see. I can't remember how it goes. Let's see. It's Luke. Yep. Luke 18 and 13. Right? This is Luke 18 and 13. It says, and the publican standing of, let me see. No, I want to go up a little bit. This is Luke 18 and 9. It says, and he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves that they were righteous, and despised others. Whew. Two men went up into the temple to pray, the one a Pharisee, the other a publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, uh, power, I thank thee that I am not as other men, Salakia, as other men are, extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as this publican. I fast twice in the week. I give tithes of all that I possess. And the publican, standing far off, would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, the Most High be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house justified rather than the other. For everyone that exalteth himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. You see? So the Lord just wants you to acknowledge your state, man. That's the expectation. Acknowledge that you got that demon in you, that wickedness in you, that weak flesh in you, and that you're willing to devote your life to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai so those things can be purged out of you, man. But by him, not by yourself. Okay? Right, right, right. Let's see. I think that's how it goes. Try not to be so specific because it's blue letter is something else, boy. All right, so let me go up here. Just Hebrews 8 and 7, it says, "For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second. For finding fault with them, he saith, Behold, the day is come, saith the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah." Finding fault with us, why? Because we're in this flesh, man. We're in this flesh. We can't be perfect. It's impossible. It's impossible to be perfect until the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai does this. And I'll finish off with this. I think it's 1 Corinthians, but I'll just put the words. Let me see. It's not enough. Shall change. To do it like that. A moment, in the twinkling of an eye, we shall be changed. I think it says. Boom. Here it is, right here. It says, boom. This is 1 Corinthians 15 and 50. I'll start at. "And now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption." Right? "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." You see? "For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality." Right? So that's what the Lord is going to, he's going to make us perfect. He's going to give us perfect bodies. Okay? So that's it, man. That's it. That's all I wanted to go into. You know, a lot of our people's hearts have been turned away from the scriptures because of men mishandling the scriptures. So, it's our duty and responsibility to make sure that the truth is going out in a constant stream, if you will, So with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Racham Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who rule well. Honor and salutation to those of you who are elect. With that, I say shalom.